We have 5 missing persons, last seen leaving Chico State after a basketball game.
They're not the type to just disappear. Gary would never miss his birthday party. Never.
We found the car. It's stuck in snow about 70 miles from where they should have been.
The discovery of 4 bodies in a remote mountain cabin has only deepened the mystery of what happened to the Yuba County 5.
How do 5 grown men just vanish? And why was Ted found like that 19 miles from the car?
Welcome back to Crimeco, where we uncover the cases that defy explanation and leave more questions than answers. Today we're diving into one of America's most baffling mysteries. A case so strange it's been called America's Dyatlov Pass. 5 friends, all with mild developmental disabilities, went to watch a basketball game on a cold February night in 1978. They never made it home. What happened in the mountains of Northern California that night has puzzled investigators for over 45 years, spawned countless theories, and left families with heartbreaking questions that may never be answered. Hold on tight as we unravel this mystery from A to Z. The bizarre case of the Yuba County 5. On February 24th, 1978, 5 friends from Yuba County, California were excited about their plans for the evening. Gary Mathias, 25, Ted Weiher, 32, Jack Wett, 24, and Bill Sterling, 29, 24, and Bill Sterling, 29, were all part of a team called the Gateway Gators, a basketball team for adults with developmental disabilities. The 5 men had become close friends through the program. Gary Mathias was the most high-functioning of the group, an Army veteran who had been discharged due to his schizophrenia, but was doing well on his medication. Ted Weiher worked at a snack bar and was known for his gentle nature and love of sports. Jack Madruga was the designated driver of the group, responsible and careful behind the wheel. Jack Wett was quiet but dependable, and Bill Sterling was described by his family as sweet and trusting. That Friday night, they had plans to drive to Chico State University, about 50 miles away, to watch their team's opponents play in a basketball tournament. They wanted to scout the competition before their own playoff game scheduled for the next day, a game they had been talking about for weeks. The 5 men piled into Jack Madruga's turquoise and white 1969 Mercury Montego around 4:30 p.m. Madruga was a careful driver who knew the route well. The plan was simple. Drive to Chico, watch the game, grab some food, and head straight home. Ted Weiher's mother had even prepared a birthday cake for him. His birthday was February 25th, and they had planned a family celebration for when he returned.
Ted was so excited about his birthday party. He kept talking about the cake his mother was making. There's no way he would have missed that willingly.
The game ended around 10 p.m., and witnesses later confirmed that all 5 men were seen leaving the gymnasium together. They stopped at a local store called Bear's Market, where they bought snacks and drinks. Ted purchased a Hostess cherry pie, something he would later be found clutching in his final moments. The clerk at Bear's Market remembered them clearly. They seemed in good spirits, joking around and talking about driving home. Nothing seemed unusual or concerning about their behavior. They left the store around 10:30 p.m., walking back toward their car. This was the last confirmed sighting of the Yuba County 5 alive and together. The drive from Chico back to their homes in Yuba County should have taken about an hour via Highway 99, a straight, well-lit route that Madruga had driven many times before. They should have been home by midnight at the latest, but they never arrived. Saturday morning, February 25th, Ted's birthday, came and went without any word from the 5 friends. Their families immediately knew something was wrong.
Gary always called if he was going to be late, always, and Ted, he wouldn't miss his birthday party. We knew right away something bad had happened.
Ted's mother had prepared his birthday party for that afternoon. When he didn't show up, she called the other families. One by one, they confirmed that none of the men had come home. Jack Madruga's family was equally concerned. Jack was responsible about his car and would never stay out all night without calling. Gary Mathias had been doing well on his medication and had never disappeared before. Bill Sterling's family said he always came home to his elderly mother. By Saturday evening, all 5 families had contacted the Yuba County Sheriff's Department to report their loved ones missing. The initial search focused on the route between Chico and Yuba County. Deputies checked hospitals, contacted other law enforcement agencies. and began interviewing people who had been at the basketball game. For 3 days, there was no trace of the 5 men or Jack Madruga's Mercury Montego. Then on February 28th, a Forest Service employee made a discovery that would only deepen the mystery. About 70 miles northeast of Chico, in the Plumas National Forest, a Forest Service worker spotted a car stuck in snow on a remote mountain road. The turquoise and white Mercury Montego was found on an unpaved road near Oroville-Quincy Road, far from any logical route home. The car was stuck in about a foot of snow, its rear wheels spinning freely. But here's what made no sense. The car was in good mechanical condition. The gas tank was a quarter full. The battery was charged. The heater worked perfectly.
The vehicle appeared to have been driven up the mountain road and then abandoned. There was no mechanical reason why they couldn't have backed up or turned around.
Even stranger, the car had been driven much further up the mountain road than necessary. If they had gotten lost and ended up on this road by mistake, they could have easily turned around at several points. Instead, they had continued deeper into the wilderness. Inside the car, investigators found maps, but none showed the remote area where they were found. They also discovered that a window had been slightly lowered, possibly for ventilation during the drive up the mountain. Personal items belonging to all 5 men were scattered throughout the vehicle. Most puzzling of all, the men were nowhere to be found. Investigators immediately began trying to understand how the 5 men had ended up so far off course. The route from Chico to this remote mountain location made no sense. To reach the spot where the car was found, they would have had to leave Chico heading northeast instead of south toward home, drive through several small towns without stopping for help, continue up increasingly remote mountain roads past multiple opportunities to turn around, drive for hours in the opposite direction of their destination. The area where the car was found was not somewhere you ended up by accident. It required a deliberate series of turns onto progressively more remote roads. Even if they had gotten confused, why hadn't they stopped for directions in any of the small towns they passed through?
You don't just accidentally end up where that car was found. Someone either forced them to drive there, or they went there intentionally. But we couldn't figure out why.
Local residents told investigators that the mountain roads could be treacherous in winter, especially for anyone unfamiliar with the area. But they also said the roads were passable with a careful driver, and Jack Madruga was known to be exactly that. With the car found but the 5 men still missing, the search effort expanded dramatically. Search and rescue teams combed the mountainous terrain around where the vehicle was discovered. The weather had been harsh in the weeks since their disappearance. Snow, freezing temperatures, and winter storms had hit the area repeatedly. If the men were somewhere in this wilderness, time was running out. Search teams used dogs, helicopters, and hundreds of volunteers to scour the forest. They checked old mining camps, cabins, and any structure that might provide shelter. The terrain was unforgiving, dense forest, steep ravines, and snow that made visibility and movement difficult. But the searchers were determined to find answers. For weeks, the search continued with no results. Then, in June 1978, nearly 4 months after the disappearance, a group of motorcyclists made a discovery that would crack the case open, but only make the mystery deeper. On June 4th, 1978, motorcyclists exploring remote Forest Service roads discovered an old trailer being used as a shelter by the Forest Service. It was located about 19 miles from where the car had been found, a distance that would have required hiking through rough mountain terrain. Inside the trailer, they found evidence that someone had been living there for an extended period. And then they made a grisly discovery. Ted Wire's body was found on a bunk bed inside the trailer. He had been dead for several months, and an autopsy would later reveal he had died of hypothermia and starvation, but not immediately after their disappearance.
Based on our examination, Mr. Weyer had survived in that trailer for approximately 8 to 13 weeks before dying. He had lost between 80 to 100 pounds.
The scene inside the trailer told a story that investigators struggled to understand. Ted had apparently lived there alone for months after being separated from his friends. He was found lying on a bed, still clutching the Hostess cherry pie he had purchased at Bears Market the night they disappeared. But here's what made the discovery even more puzzling. The trailer was stocked with supplies. There were canned goods, freeze-dried food, medical supplies, and even a propane heating system. Ted could have survived much longer if he had used these resources. Instead, he appeared to have eaten very little. Some cans had been opened with a hunting knife, but most of the food remained untouched. The propane heating system was turned off despite freezing temperatures.
Ted knew how to open cans. He knew how to stay warm. Why didn't he use what was there? It's like he was waiting for someone to tell him it was okay.
The discovery of Ted's body prompted an intensive search of the surrounding area. Over the following weeks, searchers made 3 more grim discoveries. Bill Sterling's body was found in the forest near the trailer. Like Ted, he had died of exposure, but his body showed signs that he had survived for some time after their initial disappearance. Jack Houette's body was discovered under a snow-covered log, also in the vicinity of the trailer. The positioning suggested he had been seeking shelter when he died. Most mysteriously, Jack Madruga's body was found at the bottom of a steep ravine, approximately 2 miles from the trailer. His body was badly decomposed, but there were no obvious signs of trauma that would explain his death. The location where Madruga was found puzzled investigators. How had he ended up separated from the others? Had he been trying to hike out for help? The ravine where he was discovered was treacherous terrain, especially in winter conditions.
Finding Mr. Madruga at the bottom of that ravine, it looked like he might have been trying to make his way down the mountain. But it's hard to know if he fell or if something else happened.
Despite extensive searches, Gary Mathias was never found. His body has never been recovered, and his fate remains unknown to this day. Gary was considered the most high-functioning member of the group and the most likely to survive in a wilderness situation due to his military background. Some investigators theorized that he might have been the one who led the group up the mountain road, possibly during a psychotic episode if he had stopped taking his medication. But Gary's family insisted he had been doing well and taking his medication regularly. They saw no signs of mental health deterioration before the disappearance.
Gary was doing good. Real good. He was excited about the basketball game, talking about the future. If something happened to him up there, it wasn't because of his illness.
The fact that Gary's body was never found has led to decades of speculation. Did he survive longer than the others? Did he make it out of the mountains but suffer amnesia or another injury? Or is his body simply in a location that has never been searched? The discovery of the 4 bodies solved part of the mystery but created many new questions that investigators have never been able to answer satisfactorily. How did they end up so far off course? The route to where their car was found required multiple deliberate turns onto increasingly remote roads. Even if they had gotten confused, why didn't they stop for directions or turn around? Why did they abandon a working car? The Mercury Montego was in good condition with gas in the tank. They could have backed up, turned around, or at least stayed warm inside the vehicle. What happened during those missing months? Ted survived in the trailer for 813 weeks, but why didn't he use the available supplies more effectively? Why didn't he try to signal for help? How did they become separated? The 4 bodies were found in different locations, suggesting the group had split up at some point. But why? What happened to Gary Mathias? Is he dead somewhere in the mountains? Or could he have survived and left the area? Over the decades, numerous theories have been proposed to explain what happened to the Yuba County 5. Theory 1. They encountered someone dangerous. Some investigators believe the men may have encountered criminals or been forced at gunpoint to drive up the mountain road. This would explain the strange route and why they abandoned their car. Theory 2. Gary had a psychotic episode. Given Gary's history of schizophrenia, some theorize that he may have stopped taking his medication and convinced the others to drive into the mountains during a delusional episode. Theory 3. They witnessed something they shouldn't have. The remote area where they were found was known for illegal marijuana cultivation. Some believe they may have accidentally witnessed drug activity and been forced to flee into the wilderness. Theory 4. They got lost and panicked. Perhaps they took a wrong turn, became confused in the dark, and panic led to a series of poor decisions that ultimately proved fatal. Theory 5. Military or government involvement. Some conspiracy theorists have suggested that Gary's military background and the remote location indicate possible government involvement, though no evidence supports this theory. None of these theories fully explain all the evidence, and investigators have never been able to definitively determine what happened. For the families of the Yuba County Five, the lack of answers made their grief even more difficult to bear.
It's been over 40 years and we still don't know what really happened to our boys. Were they scared? Did they suffer? Did someone hurt them? The not knowing? It never gets easier.
Ted Wayher's family particularly struggled with the evidence that he survived for months in the trailer. Knowing that he was alive and suffering while they were searching for him has been a source of lasting anguish. Gary Mathias's family has never had closure. Without a body or any trace of what happened to him, they've been left to wonder if he could somehow still be alive, even after all these years.
Every time the phone rings, part of me still hopes it might be Gary. I know it's not possible after all this time, but when you don't have a body, when you don't know for sure, hope is hard to let go of.
Although the case is officially cold, investigators have never closed it entirely. Over the years, new tips and potential leads have been investigated, but none have provided the breakthrough that families hoped for. In recent years, advances in forensic technology have allowed investigators to re-examine some evidence from the case. DNA testing and other modern techniques have been applied to physical evidence, but so far without revealing new information. The Plumas County Sheriff's Office still encourages anyone with information about the case to come forward. They believe that someone, somewhere, may know something that could finally provide answers.
This case has never left our minds. These families deserve answers, and we believe that somewhere out there, someone knows something that could help us understand what really happened.
The case of the Yuba County Five remains one of America's most perplexing missing persons cases. The combination of mysterious circumstances, inexplicable decisions, and unanswered questions has made it a subject of fascination for true crime enthusiasts and investigators alike. What makes this case particularly haunting is not just what happened, but what didn't happen. Why didn't these five men, described by everyone who knew them as kind and gentle souls, receive the help they needed when they needed it most? The remote mountain trailer where Ted Wayher died had enough supplies to keep all five men alive for months. Yet somehow, the situation went tragically wrong. Men became separated and made decisions that led to their deaths, and left behind a mystery that has endured for nearly 5 decades. Today, more than 45 years later, the Yuba County Five case remains officially unsolved. 4 of the 5 men have been found and laid to rest, but Gary Mathias remains missing, and the circumstances that led to their deaths remain unexplained. The case has been featured in numerous documentaries, books, and podcasts, but the additional attention has not produced the breakthrough that investigators and families hoped for. The families of the Yuba County Five continue to seek answers, but time is running out. Many of the original investigators have retired or passed away, and witnesses from that February night in 1978 are becoming harder to find.
We're not getting any younger, and neither are the people who might have seen something that night. If someone knows something, anything at all, please come forward. These boys deserve justice, and their families deserve peace.
But perhaps the most haunting aspect of this case is how it reflects the vulnerability of people with developmental disabilities. The Yuba County Five were adults living semi-independent lives, but they may have been particularly susceptible to manipulation or unable to make the survival decisions that could have saved their lives. Their story serves as a reminder of how society must protect its most vulnerable members and ensure that people with disabilities are not forgotten when they disappear. So, what do you think happened to the Yuba County Five? Was this a tragic case of wrong place, wrong time? Did they encounter someone with malicious intent? Or was this a series of poor decisions that spiraled into disaster? The truth may never be known, but the memory of Gary Mathias, Ted Wayher, Jack Madruga, Jack Huet, and Bill Sterling lives on. 5 friends who went to watch a basketball game and never came home, leaving behind one of America's most enduring mysteries. Let us know your theories in the comments below, and if you want to see more unsolved cases like this one, make sure to hit that like button and subscribe to Crimeco. Ring the notification bell so you never miss our deep dives into the cases that continue to baffle investigators. Thanks for watching, and remember, some mysteries are never solved, but they should never be forgotten.